the psychedelic hack. Grow your neurons in a simulated environment. Welcome, everyone, to the simulation frequency. On today's very special episode, we're going to dive deep into what this all looks like from the initial perspective of the Godhead. We're going to drive that down into our avatar. And I'm going to do this in a more storytelling format so we understand how to use this information. And not that it's just information for us to consume and to be in awe of. Of course, that is a part of the growing and learning and expansion experience. But let's take this to the next level. We want to be able to control the simulation. And I don't mean this in like an evil way. I mean, how can we consciously co-create with the simulation? If we are indeed fractals of the Godhead, this simulation experience is intended for use. So let's use it to our advantage and let's hack this simulation by going deep into ourselves, because the initialness of all of this is that it's all coming from you. You are the simulation. You have created all of this for your own entertainment and experience and expansion. Once you awaken to this, as they quote unquote like to call it, you start to be able to play this game in a much more different way. I also do want to put a disclaimer out here that is one of the use of discernment, to be able to take and consume information and apply it in your own life in practical ways, practical, grounded ways. This type of information can often cause cognitive dissonance, and we don't want to do this on my channel. If any of the information makes you feel uncomfortable, ensure to do your own research and test. I like to say on this channel, just like Lamar Burton used to say in my childhood, don't take my word for it. Test these things out for yourself. Take deep introspection. Do some different meditations. I'm not saying that all the meditations on my channel are going to be the meditations that lead you to your epiphanies, aha moments, or anything that may potentially, quote unquote, grow your neurons. Check around other people's meditation. That's going to be one of the main theories through this discussion, is the act of novelty, the act of newness. So just consume this information as it is very new. It will begin to grow your neurons in such a way where it will expand your observation power in this reality. You will be able to, quote unquote, manifest more things. You will be able to potentially see things much more clearer, because in my humble opinion, if you don't have the neurology wired and set up for you, you won't be able to achieve the specific things that you may be looking for. And I'm pushing this further out into the world of superhuman capabilities, which would they have previously been considered, but now I'm saying they should start to become more mainstream, because you can just do these practices and elevate your level of whateverness you want to get into. If that is being able to see into the future, if that is being able to remote view, if that is being able to potentially read somebody's mind, things of this nature, I believe it's all possible because we live in what we call Hilbert space. And a fantastic subscriber of the channel ended up emailing me some information about this, and it is, yes, the field of infinite potentialities. That email ended up making me have multiple dreams about me collapsing the wave function of different things all night long, off and on. I do believe that this is a dream within a dream. These concepts and theories and hypotheses are pulled and synthesized from potentially dozens of different theories and hypotheses, pulled from different modalities of quantum science and other things of this nature that I will try to provide visual evidence while I discuss these things. I know you're going to enjoy this journey because by the end of it, you will have started to grow new dendritic spines to create synapses in your mind to guide you towards your new desired reality. And with that being said, let's get started. So imagine this. What if everything you know, you see, feel, and experience is actually a part of a giant interactive simulation? Not like the Matrix exactly, but something even deeper, something more real and personal. What if the entire universe isn't out there, but it's actually happening inside your own head? Now, before you roll your eyes, stick with me until the last bit of this episode. What if your brain is actually running this show? What if the universe itself, in all of its complexity, is being projected by your consciousness and all of it a simulation? And here's the crazy part. You are the one making it real. Let's start from the very beginning. Imagine a massive, all-knowing consciousness, like a dreamer who's awake before anything else. This source, what I like to call the Godhead, doesn't just create things. It dreams the universe into existence. Think of it like the ultimate imagination machine. It's dreaming you, me, the trees, and the stars all at once. And just like any dream, it begins with a single thought or feeling, a memory, a vibration. The source imagines itself into existence, and from this imagination, everything else begins to unfold. It's not random. It's all a part of a larger plan. This is where the simulation starts. Now, this is where it gets interesting. You're not just floating through the universe. Your brain is the real projector of the simulation. It's like a computer running the game. The universe is rendered by your mind, and you experience it through your senses. Everything you perceive, from the smallest sound to the biggest star, is a creation of your brain's processing power. But it is not just a random process. Your brain has a secret formula, 3 key parts that work together to make the world you see feel real. It's like a triad of consciousness that helps you experience the simulation in full 3D. Let's talk about this triad of consciousness. First, we have the pineal gland. It's like the receiver. It's picking up signals from the bigger picture, from source, you could say, or Godhead. It's almost like tuning into a cosmic radio station, into infinite consciousness. Next, there's the claustrum. Think of this as the projector. It takes all those signals coming in and renders them into what you experience as reality, whether that's colors, sounds, or even emotions. And then there's the locus coeruleus. This one's important because it controls how aware you are of the world around you. It's like the veil that determines how much of the cosmic truth you can actually see. It adjusts your level of awareness, letting you shift from the mundane reality into heightened consciousness when you need it. Let's discuss imagination. One may call imagination God. There's been many people throughout history that have quoted that God is akin to imagination. So let's think about this. This is where we begin to tie it all together. Have you ever wondered why your imagination feels so powerful? That's because imagination is how the universe speaks to you. It's not just some creative thing your brain does, it's a direct link to source. Ever heard of a little molecule called DMT? It's been coined the spirit molecule, but it's more than that. It's the chemical that allows you to access pure imagination from the universe. When you're on DMT, you see the universe as it really is, a constant shifting web of experiences. This is what your brain uses to access those deeper layers of reality during your dreaming sleep state. I like to coin this the lucid waking dreaming state. So when you go to sleep at night, you are able to access more of that pure consciousness, that awareness, especially when you're going in and out of the hypnagogic state. In that state, you are lowering your default network. You start to be able to tap into the hippocampus where that heightens the imagination. This is basically what I like to call dumbed down during the day. That ultra heightened awareness of imagination during the day, it would be akin to a psychedelic trip. And that would not be feasible and obtainable for a level of sanity within the simulation. That's why one must be very cautious with these psychedelic substances, because I believe what ends up causing levels of insanity is being able to access too much layer of the code. So then you are seeing raw data to where it can be easily manipulated, or things could potentially come up instantaneously. And the simulation is the wall in between that. It gives you the luxury of a longer dream state. It gives you the capability to be able to stay in the waking imaginatory dream longer, to be able to live out longer projects for the simulation at large, to be able to quantum learn. Everything that is going on in the simulation is full. I've talked about this in past episodes about free will. Free will is deterministic insofar as you can move about the sim as you so choose. However, all of your actions in the sim are not free will from the perspective that they are a part of the larger cosmic school. The simulation is a cosmic school, and you are riding the cosmic school bus. So we're going to continue to ride that school bus through how this is going to play out in your brain. Here's where it gets really cool. Did you know that your brain is constantly changing? It's not fixed. It's like a garden that grows new pathways every time you learn something new. This is where the psychedelics like DMT, psilocybin, and LSD come into play. They're not just about seeing things, actually stimulating your brain to grow new dendritic spines. That's where the interesting science starts to come in at. And by no means am I suggesting that anybody go out and use any of these substances, because you don't have to. This is where we're going to start talking about hacking the sim and using these psychedelic experiences through things like visuals and audios to be able to hack your brain into thinking it's having tons of novel experiences, to be able to grow those dendritic spines, to be able to then start creating new synapse spaces for new communication in your brain in areas that did not used to communicate. That is the beauty of it. You can do your own research. I'm not going to go too far into it. There's been plenty of pioneers in this area at this point. One of them to mention that I've been listening to recently has been Terence McKenna. He was an extremely interesting individual. He had really interesting views. I don't know if I'm there with all of his views, but insofar as this, it did get on the wave that these psychedelics did expand your consciousness. And I'm saying that your consciousness begins to expand when you grow more neurons, when you expand your dendritic spines, your brain starts to create synapse and synapse space where you can start to see things and you can start to observe new things in your reality. This is why people tell you to practice things, because you are growing those specific dendrites to be able to strengthen those synaptic communications between the neurons. Do this through a variety of ways. This is not necessarily a new concept. Obviously, exercise grows them, and specifically other activities like doing crossword puzzles, working with opposite sides of your body. For example, if you are a right-handed person, you use your left hand. Things of this nature, physical things. I'm proposing that we can use things like a DMT simulator experience through a visual on YouTube, pairing that with spatially audio selected tracks like binaural beats, combining them with subliminals, will create the same dendritic growth that would occur during a DMT trip or during a Kundalini awakening, etc., etc. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't do things like breath work to incite, and there is popularity behind this with, for example, Joe D. I think he says that it comes from the pineal and you activate the pineal and then you are sending that out. And I do think that is another way. There's all kinds of ways historically that people have talked about inciting the activation of DMT, but I'm trying to take it a step further and really dig down deep into why that actually works, what we're doing from a neurological perspective, and then how we can hack it and not necessarily have to do all those above and beyond things. We could potentially just gaze at a DMT stimulated. And of course, you can use things like mandalas and kaleidoscopes. Joe D uses a kaleidoscope. I don't know if he ever specifically talks about it. Like, I heard him say that it's because it bypasses the conscious to the subconscious, which is another layer of it as well, because you are lowering that ego part of what you wouldn't want to normally accept as truth. You are able to turn up that imaginatory process, which then starts growing those dendrites. And then you're able to see new things you were never able to see before. And then you could potentially unlock things within the avatar, like, for example, what Joe D goes down the whole of as healing. You can heal yourself through these modalities. And that is another way in sim that you could use this psychedelic hack. You can use this psychedelic hack for anything. You can use this for obtaining relationships. You can use this for financial wellness. You can use this for health. You can use this for anything, because you're just hacking yourself. When you think about it, you're hacking yourself. You're not hacking anything else. You're just hacking your awareness. You're hacking your awakenedness. So you're using these psychedelic things to give you novel experiences. And you can do this without any of this. I can close my eyes or rub them, and this is enter a la checkerboard hypothesis that is very unique to me. I've not heard anybody ever discuss this. When you rub your eyes, you create phosphines, and this is another way that you can psychedelically trick your brain into a novel experience to create new dendritic growth and to create new synapses. And while you're doing this, you would gaze through that holographic, that simulated experience and have an intention of what you want in your reality, potentially. Say, and this is such a base level. I'm using this as a very simple example, but say you wanted a new car, you would do the activities where you listen to these things, gaze through those psychedelic looking images, listening to some binaural beats or sounds, and then think about a situation where you have the car. This is enter a la all of the newer age thought, where its thoughts become reality. This is where you start to solidify things. So let's dive deeper into that next chapter of this story, where the magic begins to happen. Manifestation. Every single possibility exists at the same time in a state called superposition. Like a wave that hasn't collapsed yet, your thoughts are like little quantum particles. You collapse them into reality by focusing on what you want, feeling the emotion of it, and then letting it sink into your body. It's like you're choosing which timeline to experience next. That's why meditation, visualization, emotions are so powerful. They help your brain lock in your desired reality. Your brain actually wires itself to believe it's real, and then you start living it. This is why a lot of different things work to hack the brain. Very popular in this community is visualization, affirmations. Affirmations, in my opinion, are a rhythmic hack to trick your brain into something new and novel. Because if you constantly have negative thoughts about yourself, like I cannot, or I will not, or it's not possible, if you use your affirmations, you are using something called pattern disruption, which creates a novel experience. And that's what we're also doing with these psychedelic visuals. You are creating pattern disruptions. I'm going to create a meditation that is going to incorporate everything that I'm talking about, including those renderings of what it would have been like to experience something like a psychedelic experience, not just like a simple Mandela. I'm talking about intricate, interweaving, life-like structures, and you use this and you have it almost whoosh in and out of existence, just like some of those particles, right, in superposition, and you interrupt the pattern of your brain that it's used to. That's why many people talk about doing different things like changing your environment, changing your house, changing your wardrobe, because it's all patterning and signaling different things in your neuron, and it makes them grow. It makes the synapses and the connection stronger. And then that is in turn the signal that you're sending out to the simulation that gives you more and more of the reality that you are constantly observing and focusing on, especially during those times of that psychedelic novel hack that you would be doing. Here's another kicker. Every religion, every philosophy, every belief system, they're all true. Not in necessarily like the literal sense, but in the sense that they're all describing different paths to understanding the same source, the same cosmic mind that dreams up the simulation. So whether you believe in God, the universe, or the multiverse, it's all just different lens for the same thing. Because the truth is, the simulation isn't some random accident. It's a dream created for one purpose, for source to experience itself and feed the data back. So you, my friend, are part of that experience. We all are. And the more we continue to learn and take in things that we are in alignment with, sends good data back to the Godhead. And not to say anything is good or bad, but I do truly believe once you start moving in alignment with what feels authentic in yourself, insofar as you can speak your truth, you can not hold back, you can do things even when they make you scared, but then you can then grow from then experiences. That's another thing that creates novelty. The theme again repeatedly, and think about this in your mind, is creating novelty. What new experiences can you create? When you do something you fear, you are creating a novel experience, and that will grow dendrites and will empower the synaptic communication. So when you are consciously creating, we are using this to now quantum concentrate on the things that we want in these dendrites so they synapt or whatever. So they create the synapses all in a unified dance together when they are observed with intention, and they are created and sent back and forth in between these structures in your brain, therefore signaling out to the simulation, which is the quantum foam, all of experience. And then, of course, we have all of the physical things that we see here in the simulation that I do believe add to it at large, add to its 3D-ness. When you think about all of our elements, when you think about when you touch things, all of these things add to the illusion of the 3D-ness of the simulation. But there is no physicality to any of it. It is a hologram in structure due to the dream nature of the simulation. Everything you're doing is for a very specific reason. It is a cosmic experience. It is a cosmic quantum school. It is a quantum cosmic understanding of the entire data and universe at large. It is the simulation, Godhead, consciousness, universe, source, all of eternity, ever evolving, ever expanding, ever learning itself. And through the different fractals of experience, it continues to grow and expand. That's why things like sacred geometry are really cool, because you can create novel experiences just by staring into some sacred geometry. But I'm taking it a step further and proposing, because of the fact that we do have these hallucinogens present in the body and they are found naturally around our environment for consumption, is very telling that it is a part of the component at large that feeds into our imagination. And then once we realize that we can tap into this imagination and create at large with said imagination to mold the simulation. And sometimes the simulation doesn't always render in the ways that you think it may render. You may be thinking about things and you could see something in a newspaper headline that you were thinking about. You could see something from an email that a friend sends you. You could get a text message. You could see something on a bus passing by. I could give you a very short story of how the simulation has been rendering for me, because I've been having experience trying to simulate money out of thin air, not out of any specific avenue, just literally falling out of the sky. And recently, I had an individual pull up to me in a vehicle and had a huge stack of money, like just hundreds bills, and showed it to me and told me that he thought that I was cute. And for me, that was a moment where this is not what I want my render to be. I don't want a man rolling up with stacks of $100 bills. That's not the money out of thin air I'm looking for. Interesting as it may be that the simulation rendered that way. And then the next day, or like later that day, somebody openly discussed finding that amount of money that I'm pursuing on the floor. So the simulation keeps rendering what I'm thinking about, the money out of thin air. It keeps coming up like in different ways. It's rendering through other people's stories. I'm finding different amounts. It's almost like I need to continue to focus on that because I focus on so many different things throughout the day. Am I focusing enough? Am I shifting the sim enough? Do I care about that enough? Is there enough intention to make that happen? Or are my intentions and a lot of my energetic focus going into other endeavors that I have that I am also thinking heavily about and observing and having entertainment with and doing research and learning from? So just some food for thought on how the simulation can render your thoughts, frequencies, actions, inner dialogue, everything that you are constantly thinking about on a 24/7 basis. It is rendering some way through the simulation or the dream at large. So here's the big question. What if you've been the one dreaming all along? What if you've been given the cheat codes to hack this reality and you just didn't know it? Try using your imagination, your emotion, and consciousness to shift your reality. Everything you need is actually already inside you. The brain is your tool and you're the creator. So, are you ready to change this game and hack the simulation from within? Just remember, it is all within you. You actually don't need any of this stuff. This psychedelic experience has been going on since forever ago. You can go ahead and research it. It is back to where they were painting it on indigenous walls. You can simulate these things, these psychedelic experiences in your brain, and it is potentially how we have grown ourselves to this point. But because of how scary diving deep into these topics can be and pulling back the veil or layer of reality, it is hidden because it can ultimately uncover power that the masses potentially, if they could wield for not good intentions, and or the powers that be don't want the masses to know about it, because if you did, it would then create an entirely new paradigm, which potentially we're going into now, because myself as a truth seeker am here to attempt to reveal this information to you in such a digestible, understandable way and test you to use it for yourself so you can hack your own brain, your own dream, and actually live the dream. Not just say, I'm out here living the dream, like the euphemism goes. Literally wake up in your waking dream and live however you actually want to in this sim to be able to give the ultimate experience back to God. I know everybody enjoyed this episode because there's nothing else quite like it out here on the intranets. So until the next time, guys, I know you are all going to continue to manifest magic and resonate on your highest frequency.